All right, everyone. We've had a couple days to mourn the loss of Moïse Bombito, the broken leg, that is.
Yeah,
Human being is still around, but it is
that
a
was
loss to the
dramatic.
national team. It is a loss to soccer. Moise, we love you. But we've had a couple days. How about to digest this information? We know that he's going to have surgery. He's going to have a rod placed in his leg. The expectation 4 to 5 months is what he's going to be out. So we know that. And we could talk about that, but let's try and look ahead a little bit, right? Because when we look at the Canadian team right now, we know that we're dealing with, as center backs, Derek Cornelius, Luc Defougerol, Joel Waterman, and Kamal Miller. How comfortable are you, Wheels, with Moïse Bombito being out until, let's just say, March? How comfortable are you with the options at center back?
Not very. I'm it's not a great story, is it, for Canada? Even though this back four, players have gone out, players have come in, and it seems like they haven't lost a step. But it's a big ask for especially a young 19, turning 20 years old next week in Luc Defougerol. He's played 19 senior men's football games combined between club and country. That's not a lot. That number is going to tick up significantly between now and the World Cup, but I still need to see more from the player. Just in terms of like the man marking against big physical attackers, I don't think the last window was representative of what Canada will go up against when they play better teams. The Welsh, third string number 9 wasn't very good, and Romania just doesn't have any elite players in that position for me. So Defougerol, that's going to go a long way. Joel Waterman has started just 4 games since Jesse Marsch has taken over. 3 of them against CONCACAF teams: Honduras, Curacao, and Suriname. And then the game at the Shield against Ivory Coast. He seems like more like a player he feels comfortable coming on late in games. Kamal Miller, it's been widely talked about and discussed. Can Kamal Miller play center back the way that Jesse Marsch wants? I think largely by the fact he's been on the outside looking in, even for this camp, the answer is no. So what does that leave you? I mean, that leaves you one more injury away from really being in dire straits, really being in a very difficult situation. So it's fine to paper over the cracks. It's fine to elevate players and kind of force them into a position, but for them to be consistently good, especially in a pressure-packed moment like next summer, I just think it's a difficult ask for these players. So you can't bank on Moïse Bombito coming back, being fully fit. Like, none of us are Nostradamus. None of us are doctors. Players have good progress. Players have setbacks, depending on how things go. But I think for Jesse Marsch now, you need to plan with the mindset of thinking that Bombito isn't going to be available. And if he can be, then you pivot, you augment, you do what you can to make things right. But right now, I think you need to plan under the assumption that he's not going to be there because he's going to miss critical preparation games. He hasn't played since March. So who else? I mean, when it comes to the player pool, who else may be available that can come in and do a role? Are there dual nationals? Are there other players that within the squad that can go on and play center back for you? That's where I'm at right now, Andy. That's, it's of the utmost importance not to dwell on the fact that Bombito's out. This is a physical game. By the way, more players could very likely be injured or rendered not fit enough to go come the World Cup. So this is just the reality that all coaches need to deal with.
Yeah, we're not going to go there.
It's the truth. All squad stuff to deal
100%.
with.
Jesse Marsch is going to have his work cut out for him here as he tries to figure out. But I'm curious, out of those names that I mentioned in Cornelius, Defougerol, Waterman, Kamal Miller, who would you start today at center back? With the assumption, we're just going to work here, Jordan, with Moïse Bombito being out or maybe not being ready. But even if the World Cup were to just start today, who's your strongest center back pairing?
Yeah, I think we've seen it already this past window. I think also there's tell signs from Marsch who he trusts, who he feels that could live out this system. And that's Cornelius playing on the left, that left-footed center back who is fantastic. But then it has to be Defougerol on the right. When you think about Moïse Bombito coming out of this team, there are certain players that you build your team around with the pace, with the experience, with the 1v1 defending that he brings and offers. He's a shoo-in. The next best man is Luke DeFrigeron, but Wheels is right. You got to see how he's tested against men. The thing I always say about center backs as well, it's a man's position. What I mean by that is you have to lead your team. You have to make some critical decisions. And sometimes you could see some young players do well and show signs, but it's also that position where you have to be the rah-rah guy. You can't always just lead by example. Sometimes you have to pull people by the scruff of their neck. So it's hard to ask that from Luke DeFrigeron when Moïse Bombito already embodies that. And I'm not asking Luke DeFrigeron to be what Moïse Bombito is, but naturally in Jesse Marshall's system that is very demanding, it's insecure for defenders, you have to play outside of yourself sometimes. I hope DeFrigeron can do that, but we cannot understate how much of a big loss it is to have Moïse Bombito out of the team.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. Let's have a little bit of fun, because those are center backs that I mentioned. But what if we thought outside the box? What if Jesse Marsh were to also think outside the box and not necessarily dual nationals, but who he has already on his team? And I'm going to bring up a name here. Richie Laryea has been playing a little bit of center back for Toronto FC. And especially with that left side on the national team, you know, Alphonso Davies and Ali Ahmed kind of solidifying that and looking good. Would you consider, Wheels, trying Richie Laryea at center back?
There's a couple things that I would try if I'm Jesse Marsh, and I would absolutely consider playing Laryea, giving him some time at center back, because I do think he can be used under certain circumstances. I don't think Laryea has maybe good enough physicality or maybe not good enough in the air to play that position on a regular basis. We saw the second goal that TFC conceded against Chicago on the weekend is kind of a prime example of that. But under certain circumstances, other than that, I think that Laryea, when forced or deputized at center back this season, he's done a job, because I think he reads the game extraordinarily well. He can obviously play out of the back. He can cover in behind. He's athletic. He can. There's a lot of his game that's transferable, whether it's to play center back, left back, right back, on the wing, central midfield. He's just versatile in a way. But that would be something I'd absolutely consider, like trying to give Richie Laryea some time at center back, just at the very least to see how it looks and to see if he's comfortable playing there. I'd probably be tempted to try Alistair Johnston at that right side of center back position as well. Again, just the smarts he has, the way that he plays, maybe a little bit more physical than Richie in a different kind of way. And the fact that Nico Sigor is being so good at right back, then maybe you can push him inside. Maybe the midfield construct in terms of what is happening in front of the back four, perhaps that needs to change or evolve a little bit, where you give that back to a little bit more help to enable players to come in and slot in a way. And I'd like to bring up like another name who I'd be very tempted to call into Canada's camp. Bilal Halbouni has played excellent for the Vancouver Whitecaps, a big hulking figure. He's 25. He played one game for Syria. It was in a friendly against Jordan, and he tore his ACL. I'm not sure what the rules are, like the one-time switch, any rules like that, but I don't believe he's played a competitive game for country. And Halbouni, is just a traditional center back, good to distribute. And I think he's really done exceptionally well since earning a spot in that Vancouver Whitecaps starting 11. So I do think that there's some options there. I try Laryea a bit, probably Johnston when he comes back, to see if he can spell a player for minutes. Remember, if Canada does go deeper in the World Cup as well, suspensions, injuries, you're going to need a depth of players. And I just look at Waterman and Kamal Miller right now, it just doesn't make me all that confident, especially playing in behind an inexperienced DeFrigeron. So this could be a real problem position. And I think that Marsh, he's got to pivot here. He's got to find some solutions and find them quick.
I think Richie Laryea has the physicality to maybe play that spot. I understand what Wheels is saying. It's not your go-to. But I think in a one match, if you need Richie Laryea to do a role, he's shown his versatility, he's shown his commitment. And for me, as a 5'10" center back as well, sometimes just being smart and reading a play. You look at the players that maybe don't have this size or can jump to the moon, you have to just be ahead of the play. Look at Puyol or center backs that have done it before. You just have to be clever. So I do like Richie at the role, but Wheel said something that for me is very profound. If you have everyone back healthy, that is a role for Alistair Johnston. I understand that this is a calling card for Waterman, for players like that right now on that right side to really step up and say, hey, Jesse Marsh, look at me. I'm more than competent to fill this role. But if you have everyone healthy and you don't have Moïse Bombito, who do you think is a leader in that back line when everyone is healthy? Who do you think like absorbs pressure, knows how to play out of the back, knows how to keep that high line? Alistair Johnston for me would be a shout that Jesse Marsh probably knows, but obviously he's not going to defer to now. But when it comes to May, June, July, when things matter, you're going to need your leaders to be on the pitch leading that back line. And Alistair Johnston is just that.
Either way, wishing Moïse Bombito a speedy recovery because he is alive. He is very much alive, gentlemen.
No,
wishing him
like a you're like,
dude, like he's undergoing surgery. I read literally last week, about this oyster glue that they're developing in China. It's just a little slit. It heals bones in a matter of days. It's like, get on that. Some oyster glue, man. I was literally reading about this last week because I broke my tib fib when I was a kid, like clean break. And it takes a while to really fully get back up to speed. Yeah. And if there's something that could heal a little bit quicker than, rolling around in a cast for months on end, because it's not just the bone healing, like there's extensive rehabilitation. Like Canadian fans are throwing out, well, Tajon Buchanan came back in this period of time, but it took him a long time to get back up to full speed. When I was playing provincial at that, completely different time, different context. I was a teenager at that time, but it's a significant setback. Probably better to break a bone than do all your ligaments and ACL and that sort of thing. But this is a really difficult one. So, yeah, we wish him the best and just hope that, it's more for him, more big picture about just getting back on track for his career than trying to rush something for the World Cup, as much as he obviously wants that to be the case.
100%. This segment brought to you by Oyster Glue.